We looked at the idea of designing toilets to capture the urine, human urine, to extract nitrogen and phosphorus, potassium for creating fertilizers and reducing various other problems like groundwater contamination, health issues, and so on. The next step of this, of course, is to look at how human feces can be used also to maybe reduce our impact on the environment, as well as extract some useful chemicals out of it. So this is a paper that's called Toilets, Taboo, and Biogas, and talks about specific example of an implementation in Nepal where the human waste is used to produce biogas that can be used in the kitchen. Obviously that raises mental models of being dirty gas coming from human waste, so we have to deal with the taboo in that sense. This is an illustrated scheme of a fixed dome toilet linked anaerobic digester, TLAD, toilet linked anaerobic digester. Dark blue arrows depict the flow of feedstock and the light blue arrows show the flow of biogas. So you have human waste coming in and you have biogas going out, and you have certain byproducts as well. The feedstock from the toilet and the cow and animal dung and other organic waste inlet flows into the digester after mixing with water. For anaerobic digestion you need some water. As the organic waste decomposes, biogas builds up inside the digester and flows through the pipe E here directly to the kitchen stove via a pressure gradient. The production of biogas increases the pressure inside the fixed dome structure C and forces the byproduct of the biogas byproduct of the process, of the anaerobic digestion, which is a nutrient-rich, predominantly liquid product called slurry that can be used as a plant fertilizer and into the slurry storage area D here. Typically, biogas dome C is all that can be seen above the ground of the main digester, though some cases both F and C, so here is C, here is F, are buried underground. Okay, so this is not a terribly new idea. The cow dung has been used extensively for anaerobic digestion to produce methane already, and at least in a country like India there is not much taboo about using cow dung for all sorts of applications, including making dried patties out of them and using them as biofuel, or spraying the cow dung onto walls to create a kind of a disinfectant, and so on and so forth. But when you look at the use of human waste, including the composting toilet that I mentioned yesterday during our urine conversion podcast, there is a great deal of reluctance, obviously. A toilet-linked anaerobic digester within a traditional Nepali village home showing how TLADs connect human excreta with cooking and eating. The text boxes describe some socio-cultural practices around cooking, eating, and defecation that are performed to maintain purity in rural Hindu Nepal. So the religion here brings certain cultural practices. The illustration contextualizes how these socio-cultural norms might influence decision making across household domains when adopting or using a TLAD, toilet linked anaerobic digester. Okay, so let's see, here is the toilet and the cow dung that's feeding into the digester, producing biogas and slurry, as we already saw. So it is custom to wash after defecating because the body must be in a relatively high state of purity for eating and worshipping. That's very critical. Cows are considered holy by Hindus, and their dung is used to purify the kitchen and the entrance to the house. Their dung and urine are used in many religious ceremonies. This is very common, including funeral rites and so on. They are considered sacred in many ways. Okay, the kitchen is a very pure place, and no one who is in a state of pollution, example menstruating or of a low lower caste may enter. Women are traditionally responsible for maintaining the purity of the kitchen. Some of these things are changing, but obviously the practices and the cultural mores remain. Everyone must wash their hands and feet before eating, so nothing unclean is brought into the eating area. Eating is a time when people are vulnerable to pollution, so hygiene is a big factor in the developing countries, and especially where toilets may require there is no toilet paper, so water is used to cleanse oneself after the defecation. So here we are with firewood that is traditionally used for all or some of the cooking practices, such as religious cooking. So it's pretty certain that biogas will not be used for religious cooking, I suspect, but one has to see. So then the slurry acts as a fertilizer, as we talked about before. Okay, so summary of the benefits of a toilet-linked anaerobic digester adapted from this reference here. The benefits offered by domestic dung-fed anaerobic digesters or DFADs are shown in gray, and the additional benefits offered by toilet connection are highlighted in white. So you can understand the difference between directly linking to the toilet and doing it other ways of obviously there is no more human transportation of these products as there used to be before. But let's not go there. So TLAD products, biogas and slurry that we talked about, can be used for cooking, lighting, fuel for engine or electricity, so like a generator can be driven, heating of water for cleanliness, become income generating activities, no harmful indoor pollutants by using biogas, reduced collection of firewood. So in general, biomass burning greatly degrades the indoor air pollution, and many of the health issues, especially for women and children in these countries, are related to biomass burning directly, even in Africa. And there is additional biogas that can be offered as additional benefit here. The slurry is also a liquid fertilizer. It can be solid or dried fertilizer, can be a pesticide, a compost, can provide frost resilience in high latitudes or high altitudes of Nepal, where winters can get pretty cold. Mushroom cultivation, fishery food, vermicomposting, which is using earthworms to create soil from composting, selling fertilizer products and additional plant nutrients as well. It has services in addition to the products, so you have waste management, disposal of livestock waste, controls spread of pathogens from animal waste, disposal of agricultural crop waste, disposal of food waste, agricultural and weed disposal, watertight storage of organic waste streams, and additionally you can have human excreta out of the environment, and disposal of human excreta is also an additional benefit, which is a serious groundwater and surface water contamination issue in many places. As for sanitation, additional benefits here come from watertight storage of human excreta, improved sanitation facilities, no toilet emptying, as I mentioned, human carrying human waste continues maybe in some small places, and of course that is a specific lower caste that is forced to do that, and so on and so forth. So lots of socio-cultural, socio-economic issues there. Reduced odor of human excreta, safer than open defecation for sure, which is still a significant problem in some parts of this subcontinent. Number of toilets is always argued to be much lower than a number of cell phones, for example. Controls spread of pathogens from human waste. Okay, so here is an example of a Nepalese house with toilet-linked anaerobic digester that I won't go into the details. Looking at the interpretative summary of why participants choose to use either biogas from toilet-linked anaerobic digesters, wood or LPG. I won't go into reading everything, but we are looking at traditional use of wood, biogas and wood, just biogas, LPG and biogas. LPG is liquid petroleum gas. I think it's liquefied petroleum gas that is supplied in cylinders, and just LPG here. Okay, so just looking at biogas, LPG is expensive and LPG is unsafe. That's the kind of perception. So biogas and wood are preferred in that sense. Biogas, when it is available, because there is no extra cost per use, because it is available within the home, when there is time to feed and maintain the digester, during the summer when more biogas is produced, and when other jobs need to be done or the same time or have to be done at the same time as cooking. So those are kind of the reasons provided by people who were asked these questions. Okay, so here under LPG, why would you use it? For someone that prefers LPG for cooking, that takes a long time, LPG is considered better, more energy density, for example, because biogas from excreta is not acceptable, which is a very common perception mental model. When cooking needs to be fast, LPG is argued to work better, and LPG lasts a long time. So this is kind of an intermittency problem, that there has to be a supply of feedstock for the digester to produce biogas, just like solar and wind energy, for example. But if you look at other examples like LPG and wood for boiling milk, when the labor required to operate biogas is not manageable, then they prefer LPG and wood. When biogas runs out, they would use this. When biogas is broken, when there is not enough feedstock for biogas, and so on. So these are just examples of how people's perceptions can affect what are climate-friendly solutions. So reducing open defecation, contamination of soil, surface water and groundwater with human waste, and producing biogas to reduce our impact on the environment, as well as making a sustainable biogas production. You think it's obvious that human waste should be recycled, but the mental block to using biogas produced from human waste is significant. It's not at all small. So that has to be overcome eventually, when this becomes hopefully acceptable and self-sustained. Okay, so I have a few more points to make. I will add in the next podcast about the opportunities and challenges and adaptation pathways that can help acceptance of this toilet connected anaerobic digesters, toilet linked TLADs. Okay.